Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I'll see you real soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Niggas playing hard, but he really so sick. Prosper got shot.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you, and I think I have to listen, because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop. We will
as bright
not
as
stop.
the sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so right, it's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart, doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this?
go.
How you cannot go
Baby,
here?
baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled
who
to
are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hey family, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing in the building? Thank you guys for showing on up. I was looking at some stuff here, and they said, do you want a festival border or something? Yeah, we'll do a festival border. Oh, I like this one because it's still going. They got gingerbread turkey, Boxing Day. I don't know. They give me some crazy overlays. I didn't ask for those. But anyway, you guys, thank you guys for showing on up. We're going to just chit chat today. How's everybody doing? And everybody having a good day? And, we didn't come on Monday. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I am getting over my cold. I still got a little of the sniffles and, things of that nature, but trust and believe whatever it was that lingered on for about a month and a half, it's good. It's good. After I got those meds in me, I'm good now. I'm good. Anyway, you guys, something was supposed to happen today, being January the 21st. I can't remember what it was. Anybody in the building knows what it was? Let me know. I see Leslie in the building. Leslie and C6, and I see Freddie in the building. How you guys doing? And then I see Daniel Berry, sports highlights. All right. Right. Everybody doing okay? Tina Powers, I think she got her money. I'm waiting to see her when she comes in. If she did, I got a text that said thank you, but You know, I'm thinking she got her money. I don't know. I don't know. But yes, C6 says, Happy Wednesday. What was supposed to be going on? What was the new? Oh, I know somebody called me while I was busy. Oh, she said, yes, okay. So who was supposed to go to court? Was it Jarvis that was supposed to go to court today? Let's see. I don't want to see his video. Let's see, but Jarvis. So 1 month ago, the final pretrial date set for man accused. It's a final that was a month ago. But let's see what it says. The final for Jarvis, the final pretrial date set for man accused for assault and killing Detroit teen. They got court anticipate 80 witnesses. Man, they went up in the witnesses. Before they didn't have that many, but they got 80 witnesses for prosecution in the upcoming trial, and that was December the 5th. Okay. So it says a final pretrial date for the man accused of assaulting and who went missing in January 2024, Jarvis. Okay. Assaulting 13-year-old. Hey, Lisa Calhoun, how you doing? Harris reported missing on January the 9th, but was found bound to circuit court December the 5th. The final pretrial date was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. January the 23rd. January the 23rd. And didn't they change it again? So hold on. Yeah, they got 80. They got 80 witnesses. So it's going to be January the 23rd. That's going to be Friday, you guys. I thought they changed it again to like February, but on Friday, December the 5th, the final pretrial date was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. January the 23rd. The final pretrial date begins and more than 2 years after. Okay, so that's what it's saying. That's what I read. That's what happened December the 5th. They got the final pretrial date was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. January the 23rd. So we got 2 more days. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, Lisa Calhoun, I see you in the building. Hey, I'm a Mama Magazine. I'm a Mama Magazine. So, yeah, it says on Friday, December the 5th, the final pretrial date was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. January 23rd, 2026. So, we're going to get to that real soon, a month before the trial officially begins and more than 2 weeks after Harris' disappearance. A month before the trial officially begins. So the final pretrial is January 23rd. So they probably going to start in February. But he's got a court date coming. It says during the court discussion, prosecutors estimated they would have about 80 potential witnesses, while the defense estimated around 3. Who is the 3 they going to have come? They're going to probably have something like some professional, people to say, they're not going to have anyone to say, hey, he was over here, or hey, he was over there. You guys, let's chat about it a little bit. They're probably going to have, one of the forensics, to try to say that, this doesn't state that the girl is deceased, or this didn't match up with his blood. So, something like that. They'll have 3 professional witnesses, forensics to be one. Another one may be, it won't be nobody he knows. That's going to be the funny part. It's not going to be it's not going to be his mother. It's not going to be any neighbor. it's not going to be, we definitely know it's not going to be his sister, because the state has the sister on their side, to say not against him for real, but to tell what she's seen allegedly, or what she know allegedly. Because I'm gonna tell you guys something, and you guys know, and I'll say it again, I spoke to the sister, and she's very wholesome and everything. But when you talk to someone, and we talked for a long time. We talked for a long, long time. And she was really nice, she didn't say nothing bad about her brother. She just told me like it was, like, why she didn't think nothing of it, because he had told them when he got out of prison that the reason why he was in prison, and it was, based on a sexual crime or whatever, or a child, or whatever you want to call it, it was because he was dating someone that lied to him, and told him that they were a certain age, like 18 or 19, and the girl was like 15 or 16, and he got caught up. That was what the sister told me, and that's what she thought. So, okay, so one of the I'm gonna say victims, because the little girl said that something happened when she was taken over to his house when he first got out of prison. Like, this was her first time visiting her dad, and he was with some lady, which was his girlfriend, which could be Angel. I'm assuming, you guys, I don't know for sure if it was Angel, but it sounded like it probably was Angel. And Angel went and got on the couch, and she was summoned to the bedroom. And that's weird how they use the word summons. Why would they use the word summons? Like, usually when you use the word summons, see, this is what I wanted to talk about a little bit. But I mean, it hadn't been on my mind a lot. But when you use the word summons, that means some type of authority figure has asked for you to present yourself. Listen. But I like to get in words, because when you talk to people, you can't just use any word. Summons definition: in order to appear before a judge or magistrate, or the right contain it. Serve someone with a summons. Okay, what does it mean when someone summons you? Getting a summons means you are officially notified that someone is suing you, or that you are charged with the crime, requiring you to respond to the courts by a specific deadline, or appear at a certain time to avoid serious consequences. See, to appear at a certain time to avoid. Let's see what all works for this little girl and her dad. Getting a summons means you are officially notified that someone is suing you. Well, nobody's suing her because she's a little girl. She was what, 8, 9, so that you are charged with the crime. She's not charged with a crime or anything, or required to respond to the courts. You don't have to respond to a court. A specified deadline. No, well, specified deadline can be one, or no, that's got to do with the court. You because it says required you to respond to the court by a specified deadline, or appear at a certain time to avoid certain consequences, like a default judgment or arrest. It's a formal legal notice informing you of the lawsuit nature, who's suing you, the reason in your deadline to act, which could range from 21 to 30 days. Okay. So when someone summons you, it to avoid serious consequences. That's how I see it. That changes things for us. It says two types of summons. While summons vary by purpose, civil, criminal, divorce, a fundamental distinction in some legal systems is between a simple summons, which is a request to appear. So it could have been a request just to appear. Okay, she was summoned to the bedroom. Okay, because when they said that, and I'm going to tell you something, you guys. I'm going to tell you something. The person that said it was the man attorney on Jarvis's side. He said the little girl was summoned to the bedroom. And I thought to myself, when he said that, I was like, when he used that word, I was like, that's a very harsh word to use when you're talking about a little girl. Summons. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to tell you something. And you guys pay close attention when they start court. Trust and believe. Yeah, he has an attorney, but his attorney using that word, oh, that's horrible. That's like, like say for instance, you were going to court. Let's do a metaphor. Like say for instance, like baking a cake. Okay, when you say like when you describing a cake, you would say something like, I made a 3-layer cake. It tasted delicious. Okay. And then someone comes and say, oh, that was the most extraordinary cake I've ever tasted. It melted in your mouth. Okay. So which one would make you buy the cake? You say, oh, I baked the cake. It seemed like it was pretty good, And then somebody say, oh, this cake was extraordinary. It melted in your mouth. And it was like eating heaven. You would go, well, if someone was selling me a piece of cake, I want that person that just described that. They use some big words, not big words, but words that made me hear what they were saying about this piece of cake. Okay. Good example. When Jarvis's attorney used the word summons, that told me deep down in his heart, he ain't really for this cat. That's what that told me. Because he used the word, he was like, well, the little girl was summoned to the bedroom. And I was like, summons? That's what you would hear the state attorneys would say something like that. The little girl was summoned. Then you'd be like, yeah, she was summoned. She didn't have no choice. She's 7 years old. There's going to be consequences if she didn't go in that bedroom, or she was going to get a whooping, or, those was adult. It makes the situation look worse. It did not make the situation look good for Jarvis, for his attorney to say the little girl was summoned to that bedroom. I mean, you guys tell me, what do you think? I'm just saying. I mean, I listen to things, and when I pick up on, that's why you have to, a lot of times, look up words, get the definition, because we know the word. We know how to spell the word. We know what it means. But when you're in a court, that's horrible wording to say that a little girl that's been touched was summoned, unless you were on the little girl's side. You wouldn't say that about the father that was allegedly supposed to have touched the little girl, talking about she was summoned to the bedroom. And we didn't know she still had her panties on. I mean, I didn't even know how they were gonna even explain this, talking about she was touched, she wasn't violated, she still had her panties on. What do we want to get into the technicalities of what is touched and what is not touched? You know what I mean? Like, man, he had his head so down. I mean, you could see the back. You could see the back of his back. He had his head just down, like he just wanted to crawl out of his skin and be somebody else for the rest of his life, because he was sitting there and he looked at horrible. He looked at horrible, you guys. But I'm gonna tell you something, and somebody said something to me the other day, and I was looking at this. I like watching this show called Pop the Balloon. I don't know if you guys ever seen Pop the Balloon. If you've ever seen Pop the Balloon, put a 1 in the chat. But they got them on YouTube all day long. Pop the Balloon. They got like 6, 7 different content creators that puts these videos out about Pop the Balloon. And I can sit there and I just watch them all day long. I watch them to go to bed. And they give me laughs. They give me laughs because in all reality, I'm gonna tell you, everybody wants love. I don't care who you are. You can say if you by yourself and you don't have a significant other, or you're not married, or you're not dating, or whatever, you sitting there like, I'm good, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm cool. Let's get for real. Cause I'm gonna tell you what a TI is. You can say I'm wrong or whatever, but God did not put us down here on earth to be by ourselves. He just did not. Even the animals was out there, when he made the earth and he made the sea and he made the stars above and he made everything and he said it was all good, and then he put man on earth. And then he told man he made Adam, and he told Adam to name all the animals. Right, he said, Adam, name all the animals, and the animals was all named by Adam, and Adam was all alone, and Adam was looking at these animals procreate. They had a significant opposite sex animal. If a horse, you had a female horse, and you had a male horse. You had a goat, you had a female, and Adam was lonely, and he watched him, and he talked to God, and he said, there's nothing that looks like him. There's nothing for him. He was lonely. He had God, but he was lonely. So when Adam fell asleep, this is what the Bible say. You can get mad at me or not, but the Bible tells you, and we learned this in Bible School 101, that when Adam fell asleep, the Lord took a rib from Adam, and that's why there's a man and a womb man. It comes from the womb of a man, so it's womb man. Okay. So that tells you that we are not made to just be alone. There's some people that can do it, that's very high-willed, and that's their calling. But not all of us can do that. Now, I'm not saying, like my mom, she was so angry. She only had 2 relationships, my stepfather and my father. And she was done. She told me that there was no man that was good. And she said, you show her a man you that was good. And she said, you show her a liar. And I said, well, Mom, you done had all these boys and you think none of them look good? She turns her head up. Like, don't talk to me. She said, I'm just telling you the truth. That's what Mama said. I'm gonna be like the water boy. Mama said, Mama said. hmm But anyway, I chose not to take that advice from her, and I'm gonna tell you why. I believe that we all have good in us and we all have bad in us. Okay, I just believe we all do. But I believe that if I can be a good person and I'm a woman, surely a man can be a good person and be a man. You know, I just believe just the world, staying in the world and then having to have the pressure of, you have to be feminine if you're a woman and you have to be masculine if you're a man, and and things like that. We get out of complacent that way. Why? Well, because sometimes women don't want to be women. They want, they do still. You have the hormones of testosterone too, even though you have estrogen. You have both. You just have more estrogen. But as you get older, and women of age will tell you this, the estrogen is leaving. And then what happens? You start growing little hairs on your chin. And you know what I'm saying? You grow little hairs on your chin and all, little beard here. Some women grow it on the chest. I'm just telling you the truth. So I just believe that the estrogen is leaving, but because your body is deteriorating, and you're getting a little bit more masculine, your skin gets a little rougher and tougher and all that other stuff. But anywho, you guys, I just think that when we try and then we might not do it in front of people. Freddie said, I have tweezers for the chin hair. Girl, I have to get my stuff waxed off. My daughter, she just gave me a facial. What was it? Last Tuesday or something? She gave me a whole facial. She was like, Mama, the hair is coming off, but you got some real stubborn gray ones there. I don't even see them. Thank God I can't see. So, and I know she didn't get them all. She tried. She put that wax on me and I almost jumped out that seat. I thought she was trying to burn my chin off. I said, girl, this ain't no biscuit. Shoot. Look at that wax on there. Whew. I didn't want to scare her. I didn't want to tell her. Shoot. She put... I'm just telling y'all the truth. You think I'm lying. You go to someone that's an esthetician and let them put some wax on your face and see if you want to jump out that chair. You jump out that chair. And then, and you think that's the worst. Just wait till she pull it off. I said, I won't do that again. And then you look at that wax and all that hair is on there. It's little fine hair, but I mean, after 2 weeks or something, if you don't do something like put some nair on it or shave it or tweeze it out or wax it off or something, you'll have a beard, because your estrogen is leaving. You're getting older. So, but the best thing to do is to tweeze them out and try to get the hair bulk, hair follicle, bulb, follicle, whatever you want to call it. And if you can get that out, it ain't supposed to grow back, but, Hey, so tweezers is the best thing to do. She said, I used to have my, you ain't gonna have to have them waxed too soon because they don't grow that fast no more. Anyway, you guys, I'm just saying that, and for the ones, that just, they get tired, they've been in a relationship and they just like, I just don't even want a relationship no more. They just done. That's fine too. I'm just saying, shoot, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Lean on the Lord, But I watched that pop the balloon, and them kids do not know what they doing. They just, and I think to myself, I used to be the same way. Be like, I want to find my significant other. I want to find my significant other, because my kids was getting older and I knew they was going to leave the house and all that other stuff. And yeah, I looked and searched and they looked and searched, and finally I was like, forget it. And the minute I said, forget it, here come Mr. And I'm like, well, looky here. Look what the cat done dragged in. But, like I said, we'll see where it takes us. And right now, we're going on years and years and years. And that doesn't mean we're going to be together forever, but it seems like it this is what the Lord wanted, so this is what it is. But then I tell everybody, like, you have to pray about stuff like that. And, once I prayed about it and Mr. didn't go away and, hey, he's stuck in there, then shoot, if he going to stick in there, I'm going to stick in there too. So that's the way that happened. And, in every relationship, you guys, we're just chatting right now, but in every relationship have problems. In every relationship, and this is something that my husband told me, not all through our marriage that he is in love with me. Sometimes he's mad or he hates me or something, but is he going to go anywhere? No. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just telling you what he say. But anyway, what I'm saying is, he says, not every day that I'm in love with you. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because, like, okay, so I look at it like this, because, I love my kids, but sometimes I am very mad at my kids, my children. I'm like, they don't want to listen. They grown, especially now. They grown. They don't want to listen to me. They think I have no clue about what's going on. But, I am happy that I did, I thank God that I did get to see my kids grow up to an adult. All of them. All my kids are adults now, and they got their own life. And I really try not to get in the way of that, I just try not to. And one reason why I try not to is because here's the thing. When I was 14, I left my mom's home and I was out on my own, right? Okay, so I grew up really fast. I had to grow up really fast. I had 2 jobs and was going to school. And I was with an older man, right? And I learned how to cook, how to take care of myself, take a shower, clean the house, go to work, make sure the bills are paid. I learned. And I said, I didn't want that for my kids. I wanted my kids to not go out there in the world too early. Now, my daughter did. My daughter went out there a little bit too early. My oldest daughter did. But she learned. Trust and believe, she learned. Well, I didn't think she was going to learn, but she learned quickly. Well, it took a childhood life. When kids want to grow up so fast, they grow up fast, especially if they get pregnant. And then, she didn't want to go to school. And I said, oh, no, honey, you're going to school. I'll keep the baby. You go to school, but soon as school's out, you come straight home and take care of this baby. And sometimes, she did come home all the time after school. But, sometimes she wanted to go out, hang out with her friends or something. And I told her, you got a whole baby over here. So, no, you come get your baby. And my mother had told me that, at the time, to don't make it easy on her, make her accountable for that child. That's not your child. That's your grandchild. To make sure that she know there are consequences in her action. Like there's consequences, even though that she understood. And it's just like us with the Lord. If there was no consequence in our actions, we would just go out and do it again. We would just go out and do it again. So sometimes the consequences that we have in life helps us to mature. You guys understand what I'm saying? So you think at the time that you're going through something that is just horrible or whatever. It is horrible. But whatever you're going through in those hardships and consequences, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Unless you do something crazy. You know what I mean? But they're there so that you will grow and mature. You know what I mean? And you'll be like, I'm going to tell you something. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is because people judge people when they learn information about them. And I've learned not to say too much about my private life. But there was something that I was trying to get over. And I prayed about it. I'm just going to tell you guys about this. I did. I prayed about it. I was like, Lord, take this from me and but then I also prayed and I said, Lord, but don't make it hurt, and I meant what I said. I didn't want no dealings. Hey, Misty, how you doing? Misty Blue in the building. And so time went on, and next thing I know, boom, here's the situation. And it was horrible. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I got a phone call and it was like, woo, woo, woo. And I was like, no. And it was so horrible. I was at the store. I remember when it happened. I was at the store when they called me on the phone and I was like, oh my God. It was so bad. I drove across the street, went into a liquor store, and I was standing there and I was like, oh my God. And the guy at the liquor store, I don't even know if I've ever even been in that liquor store before or whatever. But I was like, it was so heavy on my mind. I just kept saying, oh my God. I just wanted a drink. That's how bad it was. It was horrible. I was like, oh my God. No. What am I going to do? Oh my God. And the guy at the liquor store, he was like, yes, daughter. And I kept saying it and I didn't realize. And I was like, oh Lord. And he was like, yes, daughter. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, can I help you, daughter? And I looked up at him and I just stared at him. Like, I'm still talking to the Lord because I can't believe this just happened. And it's so bad. My life is taken from me right now. And you're playing games. And he said, this is what the guy said. The guy said, people come in here all the time with things heavy on their mind. And they be saying, oh God, oh Lord, just like you. And he says, I just make a joke out of it. And then he says, but you do not need to be in here. So then after that, I went home and I continued to talk to the Lord. And I was like, Lord, I told you this and I told you that. And oh my goodness gracious. But guess what? He worked it out. He worked it out. And everything was taken care of, you guys. Trust and believe. Now, it was a close call. That's what it was. It was a close call. It was not me that they were going after. They was going after somebody else. And you see what I'm saying? And my name got brought into the situation. So now I got to be involved in some, and it's almost like you go to court, you don't want to have to tell. You don't even want to be involved. You just, hey, you don't want to know nothing, see nothing, hear nothing. You don't want to tell them because people will hurt you. So anyway, that's just giving you not the situation, but giving you somewhat of a concept of how bad it was. Like, oh my God, like who's saying what was said, and now here we go, and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So I mean, you can put your situation into what I just said and understand how horrible it was. Like some people don't, they think that living life is all TV. But if you've ever been out in that real world, you'll understand that, while you're sitting over here, Misty Blue, thank you for coming a new member. Let's give you a shout out, Misty Blue. She done became a new member. All right, Misty Blue said, I'm a new member. Hey, thank you. Why is this not going? Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Misty Blue, for becoming a new member. Thank you, girl. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're not part of the family, just go ahead. We gonna get this ball back up and rolling. We're gonna be rolling. The Lord tells me not to ever quit. And nothing comes to a quitter but a dream. If that's what you want to dream stuff like that. Exactly. So you guys know, there's so many, I think that we were put here on this earth, and I just do, for each other. I do. And if I cannot share my testimonies with you guys, then what am I good for? Like, hopefully you will not do the things I've done. Hopefully you will take some of what I say. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you get one thing that'll keep you out of trouble, or keep your daughter, your granddaughter safe, or give them a little bit of understanding, or maybe you can understand when they talking to you that you were young too. You did things, just all kind of things. Like I sit back and I look at my life, and I be wondering if, like, had I stayed at my mom's house, I could have went to college, and I would have went to Job Corps, and then I would have went to college, try to go through the army, go in the army. I didn't believe that when I was in school I was smart. No one supported me, or no one, I didn't have mentors. Like, I made sure my kids had mentors. I mean, and especially my son, I made sure we had, he had mentors, and and I sit down with them and try to help them with, any and everything. They got to a point where I couldn't even help them with math, because I was just general math. Their math is algebra and calculus and trigonometry and all this other stuff. And now I definitely can't help them because they don't have no books. She said, all my children in the video. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, we've been waiting a long time for Jarvis to go to court. So, I mean, there's not going to be a big hearing, but we will be able to probably try to find it somewhere and go over it. You guys know. I'm still looking for another recording app that is a good recording app. I'm just so devastated when, the recording app that I like to use, it just crazy, just crazy. All who joins the channel is thrilled. Exactly. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you. Yeah. And then I just told you guys, like, it's just life be lifing. It really do. Like, I like watching. Do you guys like watching Pop the Balloon? Because I would even like to go and kind of not critique it. Yeah, I guess the word is critique. Watching Pop the Balloon, because, we got to have something sometimes that's not so bad, because we've had 5-6 years of just children death, and I'm following this one case, and they're not saying too much about it. Let me see if they got any updates on his name is Zachary Howard, because I know he went to court, and he went to court, but they nowadays, even though that it is public record, they would not share. So his bond, he went to court January the 14th, but they didn't say what his bond was, because his bond was $250,000, $250,000, and I wondered if it dropped any. I should call the Sedgwick County Jail and find out, because they're not telling us information. And we don't even know when his next court date is. Like, if you're trying to follow. So she said, all my children in the video. Exactly, Misty Blue. Like, if we're trying to follow the it says follow, then let me see. Sedgwick County Jail. So let's see here.
Press 1 for English. Oprima el 2 para español. Thank you for calling Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please listen carefully as our menu options have changed. Press 1 for more information regarding this facility or its inmates. Press 2 for funding and account options. Press 3 to leave a message for an inmate. Press the pound key to repeat this menu. Press 1 for information about criminal charges, court dates, bond amounts, and release dates. Press 2 for information. Please enter the inmate ID, followed by the pound sign. Or press 1, followed by the pound sign. If you do not have the inmate's ID and would like to look up an inmate by first and last name, or press the star key to return to the main menu.
Okay, let's see.
Please wait while we process your information. You entered 200573556. Inmate.
Is that correct? More help?
Press 1 if this is correct. Press 3 to re-enter. Press 1 to hear criminal charges. Press 2 for court dates. Press 3 to obtain bond information. Press 4 for release date information. Press 5 to enter 1 count of statute 2.1.540.2.A.2.B. 1 count of statute 2.560.2.A1.AB.1B. Press the pound key to repeat this message. Press 0 to return to the previous menu. Press the star key to return to the main menu. Press 1 to hear criminal charges. Press 2 for court dates. Press 3 to obtain bond information. Press 4 for that information is not available at this time. Press 1 to hear criminal charges. Press 2 for court dates. Press 3 to obtain bond information. Press 4 bail $250,000. Press the pound key to repeat this message. Press 0 to return to the previous menu. Press the star key. Press 1 to hear criminal charges. Press 2 for court dates. Press 3 to obtain bond information. Press 4 for release date information. Press 5 to enter a different inmate ID. Press the pound key to... That information is not available at this time.
Okay, so what I did, you guys, I first pressed 1 to listen to the charges, and the charges is count one of murder, or statutory whatever. And then the other count, the count is still the same. They still have him on the same $250,000 bond. So when he went to court on the 14th, nothing seems to have changed. They don't have any information about when he goes to court again. Remember, I was just telling you guys, it's really hard to find the information. Like, they're not giving the information like they used to do. So I'm finding it really hard. Like, he's supposed to have a court date. They can't just hold him and not have a court date. But they're not even giving the court date. So, see, and then some people would call me and was, like other content creators, they, how did you get this information, SP? And I would be like, girl, call this number such and such and ask for such and such. I can't give them that information because guess what? Things is changing. Like what you just seen and heard for yourself. You heard Zachariah and the daughter, the little girl that passed away was Mulani. Her name was Mulani. She was 3 weeks old. And she died. They said that he was the only one at the house and that the baby had two bruises on her head, or I guess a brain bleed. And it was from blunt trauma. It was from a blunt force, you guys. And that's why I wanted to go over this case. He was booked Monday for first degree murder and abuse. So that's what it's saying. It says he has been charged with murder and abuse in connection with the death of his 3-week-old daughter more than 3 months ago. So Zachariah Howard was booked for first-degree murder and abuse of a child. His first court appearance on those charges is scheduled for Tuesday. Officers responded at around 8:10 a.m. on Thursday, September the 18th. And it gives you the where they were located, what apartments. I was over there by that property at that time. According to police records, they were called to the report of an unresponsive child who died after being taken to the hospital. A court document identifies the victim as Mulani Howard. Zachariah Howard was her father. A criminal complaint states Zachariah did allegedly, knowingly torture, crudely beat, crudely strike, or crudely kick the child. Howard was initially booked on the same court on the count on September the 19th, but he was released without prejudice. He's now being held. And he already went to court to try to get his bond reduced. Evidently, they did not reduce it. They didn't move it up. I don't know why people come here and do some stuff. They do some really crazy stuff here. You out. We are not trying to. The mom is saying he's not like that. He's a loving dad, and you should see him with his kids. Her father is charged. The autopsy report says Mulani was staying at Howard's house the night of September the 17th. The next morning, Howard reported that he found her unresponsive. She was taken to a hospital where she died. The medical examiner found at least 2 bruises on Mulani's head, as well as 2 possible bruises on her torso, according to the autopsy report. Testing found evidence of bleeding in the brain, the eyes, and membrane around the brain, the report says. The medical examiner ruled the case of death as blunt force injuries to the head and the manner of death as homicide. I just want you guys to know, and then it says that he was due back in court on the 14th. Like some of these states, when we look at stuff and then we find out that they got a lesser bond. So I'm just telling you guys, I was talking to somebody one time and I was like, well, we're going to follow this case because it's really close to where I'm at. And And it seemed like it would be easy to get the information, but it's not. We know the last person that's seen the child is the villain. Exactly. Come on, Freddie. We learning. You know what? I think when we first started and we started this channel and we would come on and and then we will hear what information that was out there. We will be hopeful. We'd be like, some people will be in the chat room, and they would be like, well, we don't really know. And I mean, I'm not going to deny. Sometimes I would be like, well, I don't know, and then as we started going through case and another case and another case, I started seeing that the police, what they have is like, they probably can't give us all the information, but if they pointing their finger at somebody, it's because they're, that information, because it's almost like 95% they the monster. You know what I'm saying? And then in some cases, and I think I have grown a little bit, that you can't just want to defend someone because of their color. Just like in the Cash Gurner and Darian Brown, he was brown skinned, and then you got Monica's son. I can't remember Monica's son's name, but Monica's son, he wore an afro, and we was like, well, that looks like that could be Monica's son. And they were like, no, we got the person. And then, and next thing you know, we talked to the mom there, and the mom was like, no, my son had came home and it was like nothing, but then they found blood in his house, at his house. And we were like, they found Cash Gurner's blood at Darian Brown's house. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he did flip out, and I'm not saying he didn't, you guys. I do believe, like some people be like, well, they flip out, they don't, they can flip out, then, they, they can have a relapse, they can have an episode or whatever, and he already had issues, he already had problems, and then we learned that he had did it in the same month prior to that by running in somebody's house and trying to take a baby, and then that person didn't say nothing. And that person got to feel like, oh, the worst, because had he pressed charges, and remember Monica down there, no, he was having a problem, that person would have pressed charges, guess what? He would have got some help. So what we were talking about earlier, about sometimes when there's consequences and hardship, things that happen to slow you down or to get the help that you need. And we figuring out and finding out when people don't slow down, get the help that they need, do things the right way. Just like, remember the young lady that her boyfriend took her cross country, and what was her name? And everybody was looking for her and had the police go ahead and arrest her for putting her hands on him. She would be alive right now. I mean, she would have. I mean, you know what I mean? But when people don't do what they supposed to do and get the, consequences that's due to them, then other people get hurt down the road. That's why sometimes people say things could have been prevented. But we don't look at prevention, because once you look at prevention, you got no way to weigh or measure that something was prevented. But if you look at your life and stuff and you see how when things, like if you did something, Freddie said, I just don't understand why babies and children. Because it's evil. Like there's an evil spirit that was on that young man. I don't think nobody grows up and just say, I just want to just take out babies. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's doing that. You know what I'm saying? But if you got something that's possessing your body, which people don't believe that that's what happens, but it does. You see people all the time walking, talking to themselves, hollering, walking down the street, just hollering and having a full conversation. Who you think they talking to? They ain't talking to the sky. They ain't talking to the air. They see something you don't see, and it's real to them. And how can you not say it's not real? Because you don't see it, they see it. They see it. Just like people when they're in nursing homes and they have dementia and things like that, they'll tell me sometimes, they'd be like, you don't see the baby right there in the corner? And I'll be looking at them like, no. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, I don't believe you. There's nobody sitting in the corner. I look at them. I look at the corner. I don't see nobody. But they see somebody. And they be like, just get the baby. Just get the baby. I just want the baby safe. And then I got to say, okay, I got the baby. Because they want to jump out the window, or, they trying to scoot out of bed and they paralyzed. They can't even walk. So, they really see a baby. I mean, that's why I tell people all the time, can two people be right and have a difference, 100 or 180 degree different about seeing something? They can. You see what you see. It's just like the way you were raised. You were raised one way. I was raised one way. And then, you may be like this one girl that was on Pop the Balloon. She dated this guy. He cheated on her. And then he cheated again and he cheated again. And so the guy asked her, why didn't you not leave? And she said, I gave him a chance. Well, you gave him the chance. And what did he do? He cheated on you again. And then you gave him another chance. The second time, the third time, the fourth time. He didn't pick that girl because he thinking to himself, you allow someone to treat you like that. You mad at him, you need to be mad at yourself. Why did you allow? Okay, the first time you didn't know. The second time you said, okay, the first time you like, okay. The second time you like, hey, now, okay. But the third and the fourth time, no. You allow, and that's something about life. Like sometimes we get mad about how people treat us. I was mad, and I had to take a second look with my job. And I would come on here and I would tell you guys like, oh, I'm having a hard day. This happened, that happened. And trust and believe, stuff is happening all the time at my job. But you know what? I said to myself, self, why is these things happening? Is it because I can't get along with CNAs, or is it because I'm very mean. I'm not a good leader. Why is it that I'm having these incidents or situations? And I realize I'm having these situations because I'm allowing people to treat me however they want to treat me. So I put on my big draws. That's what I did. I put on my big draws and I went to work. And when something happened, I said, no, we're going to straighten this out. I straightened it out. I even raised my voice. And you know what? I ain't had a problem since. I raised my voice. I told them I'm going to write them up. And you know what? I believe that the work environment is better. Why? Because now they know that I'm not just going to say, hey, I need you guys to get the residents up and put them to bed and wash their face. Like, you know what you're supposed to do. Let's get it done. And if I see that you're not doing it, I'm going to say, hey, go wash that person's face. Hey, go put that person to bed. Hey, go change that person. Because, and you know what? If you don't want to hear me, then just do it. Because I'm going to go. And now they know that I will check the rooms. I will check to see if it's done. I will turn on the lights and say, hey, that person needs to be changed. Can we get that done? And I will write a report up if it doesn't get done. So, the terror detective, how you doing? Oh, yeah. That's homegirl. Mm-hmm. And I must say that once I done that, I don't know, but I do believe that the others, she was like, oh, SP not happy that, people are falling on her shift or on her hall, and they don't think it's funny, I mean, it's going to get better. I'm not going to, and as a dog will return to his vomit. Exactly. I'm not going to be hard. I'm just going to be a little bit more vigilant when it comes to doing my job. And I'm not going to be strict. I'm not going to be, you know what I'm saying? Like just take little steps because I think that I have to get not only the authority, but the respect. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so used to just working by myself and getting it done and doing by myself, that now that I'm in a surrounding where there's other people that I have to depend on doing things, I need to make sure that they're doing them. Yes, some people won't ever change, but I don't ask for them to change because I can't change nobody. I just want them to try to do the best. See, you see what I'm saying? I'm totally different than what a strict person would be. I mean, if you try, that's all I can ask you to do. Try. Because nothing beats a failure but a trier. A person that will try. You know what I'm saying? And then once you try and then you get another person that try, you're going to get less fall, less people getting injured, and we can do some stuff. You got your point across. I had to do this at my job. I had to leave after 17 years. Exactly. And you know what they say, like it's almost like a domino effect. Like if you knock down the first big one, people go, ooh. Or and I didn't wait for the big dog to come out. But you know what I'm saying? I think I put the point across, and I really don't want to raise my voice again like that. I don't, but I do want them to know I will go check your work to see if you did it. especially after I asked you to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't tell you to do it. I asked you, and I asked in a nice way. And it wasn't something that you couldn't do. You just decided not to do it. That's what angered me. Hey, Tina Powers, how you doing? She said, hey, party people. We getting ready to get out of here. But you did get your money, Tina. Did you? Did you get your money? Did you get your money? She said, I love my new job, though. Not stressed for voicing my opinions. All right. But you know what I'm going to do, though? And this is just, I'm doing fine, SPRU. I'm doing great. I'm doing much better. Things is going. And I may be able to share my adventure. Yes, ma'am, I sure did. All right. All right. You said that money. She said money. Tina made some money. She made some money. She made a little bit of money. She kept throwing it out there. And she said, shoot, I'm not doing nothing with this little money, so let me throw it out there and make some more. And throw it out there again and make some more. And she came out. She came out pretty good. So I know where she's going to spend probably some of it at better a body bath and beauty, whatever. Bath and body. She likes that. She likes that bath and body. If you ever get Tina Powers something, get her some bath and body. She loves it. She'll be your friend for life. Get her a card from Bath and Body and she good. She be like, I'm good. And Freddie tore us up. Freddie took it home. Freddie took more than half. She was on that. She said, what was for me is for me. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to get off of here. I got a vacuum. I got a Bath and Body. That's right. I got a vacuum. I got to take apart and put back together and find out what's going on with it. She said, I'll do better next time. Well, I hope we have a next time now. I'm going to have to get this up and going. So you guys make sure, like I said, I'm going to try to come on a little bit more. I know we fell off a little bit, but I had a couple of things on the eyes, like I had this eye going, that eye, that one. And I'm just now getting back to my old self where, we're still trying to close on this house, but we don't know. We'll get it. Anyway, you guys, I know. That's why I remember you. Yeah. You had you I think you was the voice for Monica, wasn't you, the terror detective? You was the voice playing Monica when we had that mock trial. Or was it? I don't know. Can't remember. Anyway, you guys, make sure you guys have a blessed day. Make sure you pray. Pray for me. Pray for Sonia Watts. Pray for everybody. Pray for Zan. Pray for people that, that we know that is part of family and we love them. Let's pray for people, you guys, because this world is doing something. And, life is life. All right, you guys, be good, be great, and be nice to each other.